Welcome back. Oh my god, Sony dropped straight fire. Now, there's been a lot of stir in the gaming community in regards to Sony and Microsoft, preferably the consoles. So I figured I'd give my thoughts and impressions in regards to how I feel about everything and let you guys know. So early last week, there was some information that came out in regards to the Xbox Series S and the Series X. Basically, the pricing and the release date was leaked. Lately, all anyone has wanted to know about the next-gen consoles were basically the price and release date, what they were going to cost, when they were going to drop. And Sony and Microsoft have been in this ongoing stalemate for the last few months in regards to that information. Pretty much, if anyone was going to ask the pricing or release date on when these consoles were going to drop, the only thing you would get is, "Not today, little homie, you asked me that question again, I'm going to have to beat your ass." So someone pretty much leaked all this information out and the world knew from there. And that made Microsoft feel strong-armed to the degree where early Tuesday morning, Microsoft released a trailer. First of all, who releases a trailer at like 1 in the morning? Only on Xbox. And now we know the pricing and release date for the next-gen Xbox. The Xbox Series S is going to be $399, that's the all-digital version, and the physical version, the Xbox Series X, is going to be $499. But what was funny to me was how all of the information came about. I mean, it was like Microsoft was dealing with a disgruntled employee who had been overworked and underpaid, and in the midst of that company wanting to cut costs, he got laid off. And now Lil Robbie's out there, all alone, in the midst of a pandemic with no job, feeling forced to do nothing but tell the world what he knew. Hey, did you know Rob got fired last week? What? Nah, I didn't have any idea. Yeah, I guess with everything going on, they finally decided to do layoffs. And he was one of them. It's crazy. And he was supposed to help me with the next Xbox presentation. And he knew a lot of information about the release date too. Yeah, I know. Man. You don't think he'll say anything about it, do you? What? No, Rob is a stand-up guy. He's one of a kind. He's very loyal to the team. He would never do anything to violate.
There's been a leak. Code red. There's been a leak. Code red. There's been a leak.
Oh, crap. Anyway, Microsoft's hand had been forced at that point, so I guess they felt like they had no choice but to drop the trailer. And I understand that the next-gen Xbox is supposed to be a series of consoles, but can we discuss the name for a second? I could understand how confusing that would be. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about an Xbox One, and an Xbox One X, an Xbox One S, and then you have the Xbox S or Series S, and then you have the Xbox X. You see how confusing that could be to the non-gamers out there in the world? I mean, I'm sure there's a little Timmy out there somewhere in the world that wants an Xbox Series X for Christmas. And he goes and he asks his parents for it, and his parents are like, yeah, sure, I'll get you that. And then they go and they get it, and they wrap it, and they put it under the tree. Well, little Timmy wakes up on Christmas Day. He unwraps it only to realize it's an Xbox One X. And of course, following all this information, we got the typical memes. There was that one meme that was floating around about the Xbox Series S where it looked like plankton from SpongeBob, or that one that said it looks like a mini cooker that you take on a camping trip. Either way, it was bound to happen. That's typical stuff. They did it with the PS5. They're gonna do it with the Xbox. Hell, they do it with PCs. And also, apparently, with the next-gen Xbox, they do have financing as well. Basically, the Xbox Series S is going to be $24.99, and the Xbox Series X, had to make sure I got that right, is going to be $34.99 on a 2-year payment plan. Now, despite the delay of Halo, I still believe that the Xbox could be a pretty good console. Just not for me. I pretty much have no reason to get it, considering everything that they announced at the last presentation is going to be available on Game Pass, including Halo, if I'm not mistaken. I don't necessarily consider myself a fanboy, but I do understand that there are some out there. When it comes to gaming, for me, I play whatever I want to play, and whatever platform it happens to be on, I will get it on said platform. Now, I do have a preference, but it doesn't mean that if something drops exclusively on a particular platform that I'm interested in, that I won't get it. And speaking of Game Pass, it looks like it's also getting some EA games. Basically, for Game Pass Ultimate, you're gonna get a plethora of EA titles, which is a very consumer-friendly move by Microsoft in my opinion. Which brings me to Sony. Holy So obviously, in response to all the Xbox news, Sony announced that they were going to have their own little presentation. So we all knew what we wanted. We all knew what to expect. We wanted pricing for the PS5 as well as a release date. And boy, oh boy, did they start off with a bang! They just said, drop everything. They hit the deck and said, full sail away, homie, drop everything. Okay, maybe not everything, but they did show us a lot. For starters, they revealed Final Fantasy 16. What? I guess it wasn't necessarily a complete reveal since we did see some footage of it at the last event that they had, but still, it wasn't necessarily at that time confirmed Final Fantasy. It just looked like it. And that was it. That was how they started it. Now, I do have a little bit of a bone to pick with Square Enix and the Final Fantasy series, or where I see the franchise going, or where I would like for it to be, but I will save that for another video. You have to be thinking to yourself, by God, they have to have nothing but bangers. What else could they show after this that could top what they previously showed? And they pretty much had nothing but bangers. I mean, we got Spiderman Miles Morales, Deathloop, Resident Evil, Oddworld. They even announced a fucking Harry Potter game. Now I know a lot of these games were just rehashed from the previous presentation, but we did get some more Spider-Man gameplay. I'm very interested to see what more they do with Deathloop. And Resident Evil, despite it being a third party, got a little bit creepier. I'm still trying to understand what's going on in that game. Now, still through all of that, we knew they weren't done. Obviously, they were saving the best for last in regards to the pricing, and we now know what it is and when it's going to release. And they didn't disappoint either. So the digital version for the PS5 is going to be $399, and the physical version is going to be $499. Both releasing on November 12th. So you're telling me that this full-on stalemate that's been going on to see who would break first was ended by a leak from some random person to confirm what we should have already known anyway. We should have gotten this information months ago. And when you think about last gen, we knew like 6 months in advance. I don't know why it took them so long or what they were waiting on. And Sony saw this, and what had to have been a direct response to the Xbox information that was released, decided to have their own presentation only to make their consoles the exact same price. Honestly, it's not that funny, but Sony did have the upper hand. On one hand, you'd think maybe they would have made it cheaper, but at the same time, could they make it cheaper? That was the actual question. I told myself that if Sony were to announce that Spider-Man Miles Morales, along with Demon Souls, Ratchet & Clank, or any other game that they're planning on dropping, were to be announced to be released at the same time and date as the PS5, that would be a day one cop for me. Really, Miles Morales is enough for it to be a day one cop for me, but I know everybody's different. Now for me, one game is enough for me to want to buy a particular platform. I do believe that. I do understand it's different for everybody, but that Miles Morales was obviously enough for me to get it day one. And then at the end, at the very end, after giving us the prices for said consoles that we had been waiting on for months, these dudes tried to sneak in a teaser for God of War. God of War Ragnarok. I mean, like, what? Yeah, we all knew there was probably gonna be another God of War. But to expect anything this soon? I don't know about y'all, but I'm excited for the next God of War. But that's all I got, guys. Let me know what you guys think, what you're excited for. Were you pleased with the pricing? Which one is more appealing to you? I do want to let you guys know that I do have more skits and ideas on the way. I haven't stopped doing those. I've just been experiencing some changes in my life that will allow me to be more consistent with my content, because I like making videos for you guys. Anyway, if you enjoy the content, then consider subscribing, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!